Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about two smaller topics around the grid, nesting and offset columns. So often you have content that may not go all the way across your row, and you may want to responsively offset it by a certain number of units. Now that doesn't sound very clear from what I was saying, but what you can do in Bootstrap is basically have empty columns, empty spots in your grid like we have here, or here, or here, and you can change the size of them by using these offset classes. So one option, there's many ways to achieve this effect where we have a column 4 and a column 4, and they're separated by 4 units. We actually saw in the last video that you could do that by just making 2 column 4s and then spreading them out, putting all the space between them. But what you could also do is say column 4, offset column 4 or offset 4, and then column 4 again. So basically these offset classes give you an option rather than having to just make empty divs or empty space, which you totally could do also. You could just put a div there and give it column 4 as well. So let's just make a row. Let's make a couple columns. Let's do a column 4, and I'll just put an H1 that says column 4. Let's give it a border. I'll do col-4. And if we look at what this gives us, if I put a border around the entire row as well, it's currently taking up 4 units out of 12. So we have all this empty space, but maybe I don't want it to start right here. So what I could do is offset it by 1. So I could do offset 1. And now I don't have to put something here that has a width of 1. I don't have to make a separate div, but instead I can just say offset 1. Or I could go and, move it around again and do offset 3. Or I could keep this at offset 1 and then duplicate it and say this one is a column 5. And I want it to, 1s, that's an accident. I want this one to be offset by 2. So that gives us 1 space, column 4. 2 space, column, still a 4. Let's change it to a 5. Column 5. So we can use these offset classes to add in spaces, and we can make them responsive, of course. So if I don't want that offset to be there, I don't want either offset to be there on small or extra small, which right now it is. What I can do is say offset dash medium 1. And now these offsets will only be there when we're above medium. So when I get to small, right there is no offset anymore. We still have this space at the end because I'm not using it all, but that's fine. We could adapt that. We could use, make these responsive, make these grow as well. But right now what we have is always something that's 4 units and always something that's 5 units. But once we hit a certain size, which is medium, we're adding 1 empty space and 2 empty spaces. Okay, so that's one use for offsets. Again, you could also, if you didn't want to do that, you could just put another div like this. It's not the best way of doing it, but you could do this, column 1, and just have it sit there. And that gives us the same effect. But then if you want it to disappear, then you have to make it hide. You have to do display none, and then we're getting off track here, but then you could do display small, and now it shows up. It's not really worth it, but the point is you can make this space hide and appear, or you can just do dot offset, not dot. You can just do offset dash medium 1, or whatever you're looking for. Maybe 3. Oh, I used too much space, didn't I? 7, yes, that is too much space. So we'll go back to 1. Okay, so that's offsets. There's a lot you can do with them, but they're pretty straightforward. It's just adding in space. They show some examples here where you can do a whole bunch of, crazy responsive things. You may need to end up resetting the offsets as they show here. You can do offset 0. So like in this example right here, they have an offset right here, but then as they grow to large, that offset goes away, which I don't know why you would want that. Why would you want space on a small layout and then on a large layout you want to get rid of all the space? I don't know, but it's possible. So the other thing I want to show you is that we can actually nest grids. And this is useful if you have a larger page layout that you want to divide up and then subdivide. Like if you have other components you want to manipulate and put them in, make a responsive layout inside of a responsive layout. So to do that, if we go down to nesting, all you have to do is inside of a column, make another row, and that's it. So what I want to do now is show you how to just, I'm going to do a separate container. I'm going to do, is it container fluid or fluid container? I can never remember. Let's check. It is container dash fluid. I got it. Okay, so we have our container that goes all the way across. Now I'm going to make a row. And in this row, let's do 2 columns, 50 and 50. So we could just do dot col. What I want to do instead is column small. So they'll stack on extra small. So we have 1. And for now, why don't we do an H1 or something? I don't know. I'm just going to put some random text in here just to start that says left. And then I'm going to duplicate my column and it's going to say right. And then we'll give a border to each item. And I'll also, while I'm here, add in an H1 that just says nested grid. So we have some space. Okay, so it's not very attractive, but we have a regular grid, goes all the way across because we use container fluid. That's really the only difference. But if I wanted to subdivide this now, and I have some more content, so first I should show you these do stack. And then if I wanted to subdivide it so that inside of the right side over here, I have some other content. So let's do that now. I would come down here and make a row. And then I can just do whatever I want. Let's do border, what is it, border success or something so we can see. And then inside of that, we'll do a column. And let's say we're going to split it into thirds now. So that would be column 4. And we'll duplicate that a few times. We'll give it a border. There we go. So we now have divided that area into thirds. And inside, let's just say 1, 2, 3. And take a look at that. So we now have subdivided this content so that we have our left and our right. That's our parent grid. And then inside of that row, we've subdivided it 3 ways. And we could even make it, so right now it's responsive in this sense where we end up with left stacking on top of right at extra small. But we could also make these stack too. We just need to give them, instead of always being column 4, we could say column small 4. So when they're at a small size, go to column 4. Otherwise, stack. And there we go. So we now have this nested thing. And if you want to get really fancy, just to show you, let's take the third one and further divide it. So we could do this here, and I'll do dot row, and then let's just divide it in half. So we'll do column small, and actually instead of half, let's do column small 3, and then give that a border. How about danger? And then I'm going to duplicate that, but instead of 3, we also have how much space left? We're going to do 9. And we need to put something in there. So we'll put maybe column 3 right there, and then column 9. I didn't actually specify the border class. Now you can see what's going on. So this is really nice to be able to nest our grids like this. I'm dividing this one little tiny area into 12 pieces, and giving 3 to this and 9 to that. And once again, I could get extra fancy, which I actually already have. I gave them the small class. So it's probably better actually to have them stack, because look at this, it's getting way messed up. So let's say that at large, size large, they expand. And now we end up with this. They're horizontal, so everything is horizontal. Then this stays horizontal, but this expands, and then this expands as well. And then we keep going, and once we hit large, now this one takes up 3 and this one takes up 9. So that is nesting. It's really useful. You just subdivide the space further. Every time you create a new row, you have 12 units to work with, 12 fresh units. And then you can divide one of those columns into 12 more. And we could keep going. The only thing that would really limit us, as far as I know, I've never really done a test on this. The only thing that would limit us is the size of your text or of the items that you're trying to nest in there. As long as you can divide up that space into 12 pieces, you probably have enough room to keep going. All right.